Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the Jade Gemini. Today I am super excited to go ahead and bring you a video of this guy right here. This is the Sofirn SC18 LED flashlight. So today I'm actually going to go ahead and go over this flashlight, tell you what I like, what I love, what I dislike, and if it applies, what is rubbish about this flashlight. Before we go ahead and get into that, we're going to go ahead and get some different things out of the way. The first thing, super duper excited. This is the first time ever that this was actually provided by Sofirn themselves, the manufacturer. So keeping that in mind and that excitement out of the way, I'm going to try and make this as genuine and unbiased of a review that I can with that out of the way. Also, this wasn't sent from their warehouse. This was just sent from Amazon. So this is just kind of a random pick from what it seems, which we'll kind of go ahead and get into that. Also, let's go ahead and get started by getting some of the size comparisons right away. So here it is with a sort of smaller EDC light that has a lot of power. This is my, Worko's TS10. So as you can see, it definitely has a little bit more length, and that is because of the 18650 battery inside, but not too shabby actually in diameter, which I feel like is one of the bigger things that has to be done when it comes to these lights that make it feel so big in the pocket. And also here it is next to a AAA sized light. Now this is a long one, but diameter wise, you get an idea of what that looks like. And then finally, if you don't have any of those lights for reference, you're just wanting to kind of pick up your first light ever, this is it in comparison to a 14500, which is basically like a AA. A little bit longer this one is, but you know, nearest makes no difference, right? It's right there in the size. Like maybe 5% longer. So pretty accurate comparison there. So that's a lot of those things out of the way. So let's go ahead and jump right in to our review of the Sofirn SC18. So first thing I like about this light overall is, well, just its overall design. You know, a lot of the time with lights, I find if you are getting into something that is a little bit more value oriented, sometimes you feel like you're getting something that's just a little bit more rudimentary and looks a little bit more tool looking and a little less fancy. I think this really does a great job, kind of what bigger manufacturers such as Olight or something like that does, where they keep it simple overall with the design and straightforward, but then they add like this little flair, something that's just a little different, that just, you know, doesn't look like they're trying too hard really, but it just looks really, really nice. And that's just what I like about this, the way the front end looks, these heat sinks here, you know, the simple texturing here, and this nice little diagonal design. Everything's just really simple, but really, really well done. To that point, next is actually the fit and finish, especially at the price, which we'll definitely talk about that later. This light, everything you need is there, and nothing really that you don't is not. It is pretty well buttoned down. There might be little things like the gaps aren't like completely perfect here, or like this is like sort of a heat welded on top here. So there's a little bit of a gap, but again, for the price, you know, that you're going ahead and getting this for, it's more than enough. And it's really, still, I would go ahead and say this is really, really a quality piece for sure. The next thing that I do like about this is just kind of all over the charging that it has. You know, this has USB charging out of the box. With this, really super simple. It's USB-C as well, not the USB mini type thing or anything like that, or micro, whichever. This is going to go ahead and be really easy for a lot of your modern day appliances. You can go ahead and stick it in, and it goes in and charges right up. One thing that I do like as well is while you are charging it, there is like and I'll show you this in reverse essentially. When I turn on the light, if I turn it on turbo and we let the light turn off here, you can see that there, yep, right there, you can see that there is some light leak, which normally you would think that, It's pretty powerful, so it's a little hot. You would think that normally that would go ahead and be a situation that wouldn't be good, but in this situation, it actually is, because what this means is when the light is on, after the green turns off, you can sit this down. Well, you're going to be able to see, lights, on like that, but you can see the lights on in case it was down like that, you didn't know or something. But more than likely, what's really great is when you're charging this will actually turn green in here, this sort of green. And what happens is this will turn red when it's blinking and it's charging, and when it's done, it will turn green here. But because of that light leak, it'll also make this lens green as well. So you can literally just charge it in, look at the top, it's blinking red, and then all of a sudden you see this lens is a hue of green, and you're like, oh cool, everything's good to go. So really kind of a cool feature that's sort of added in. Another thing, and I think I'm going to be talking about this more, especially since Nick's latest video, if you're not subscribed to Nick Shabazz, definitely head on over there. Big inspiration for the channel, the format, and kind of getting in as well some other creators. But it's just sort of the right to service, and more so also the battery here. So when I first got this, I got another light with it. I wanted to make sure everything was topped off. So I have a X-Star or Star charger. I just simply put this battery in like this, charged it out of this light. What this means is that if you do have fancier fast chargers, when you're going ahead and using this, you can easily top that out. Also, if you're a flashaholic and you like to experiment, or you're like, I think the vape cell or the Samsung cell or XYZ is going to perform better over my testing, you can do that here. And the other cool thing is once this battery runs out, you can easily swap this out in for another battery. You're right to repair and keep that battery going. So I really do like that as well. Also, threads are nice and smooth. Nothing binds up, and it shoulders nicely and just good to go. So no complaints there. The next thing that I do like about this is the pocket clip. Kind of a weird thing to say, right? But I've had a lot of lights lately that I've really, really loved. But I've maybe had a little bit more of rudimentary pocket clips. These two look very similar, right? This one definitely works a little better than this one on the other Sofirn, its brother. This is the first Sofirn that I've owned. And I love this light, but this sort of light, gets into the pocket and just barely pull it up and it slides in. This one's a little bit tighter, and you have to go up and down 100 times to get it to finally your pants to deep carry in there. Not the case with this. This is a lot more like a knife pocket clip, where you just simply put it in your pants. You don't think about it. This sort of duckbill just gets in there and nests in. It's not the deepest carry, but it really doesn't matter. And for a light like this, you want to kind of get it out as well. It's just great. I really, really do like the pocket clip. There are some, qualms which we'll talk about, but, for overall, it's really, really great. Also, to that, it has a tight clip with a finishing that is, good. It is not sliding back and forth, so it's not going to scratch this, or you're not going to be like, where's the button this time to click? It's pretty tight. You set it and forget it, which, is something that is just wonderful. So with all those different things out of the way, what I'm going to go ahead and start jumping into next is what I love about this light, which there is a lot to love. First and foremost, I think the most thing to say about this light is just overall the feature set that it has in comparison to the price, which we'll talk about next. You got a light that when you turn it on, the green light button happens. And I know when I first got into lights and everything, that was something that I thought was, really, really fancy, on nicer O-lights and things like that. So having that here, there are some lights in this price range that just have a solid clicky. That's really nice to indicate where your battery is, and that if you see that and you didn't know that you've turned your light on, you can go in and turn it off, XYZ. Also, again, you have that charging with a really, really nice, well-designed, door here as well. And just overall, things like these heat fins. These definitely work. There's some that just put a lump or something on these. I don't know if this actually exchanges heat or this is more for looks on its brother, but this definitely is it builds up heat in this little tiny solid circuit here, and then fins out into here and then goes into the body. I mean, this is really doing something, in this sort of situation, and sort of negating that heat, from your fingers. So that's just really, really nice. Again, with the pocket clip as well, you get a little tiny lanyard loop. You can tail stand. There's just a lot of great features with this light. that just as an overall package is really, really impressive. The next thing that I love about this light is its performance overall. You know, there's so many lights that when you turn them on, you know, and then you go through the modes, you have to like kind of like go, okay, it's like there's a moonlight that's dim, and then there's like an indoor mode that's kind of dim, but it's just a little bit more bright. And then there's like a medium mode, which you can kind of use indoors, but it's a little bit brighter, so you can kind of see in front of you right outdoors. But then you're always kind of fighting this battle, like, hey, I want to save battery, and I'm on medium. I don't want to like run my lights where they're getting hot, but I kind of need high outdoors, but I wish I had more like a secondary option instead of high. And then you got like turbo, right? With this light, it's not all that nonsense. It is right in business. So you have a 3 lumen moonlight mode. And I'll also say kind of in that love that this is one that is a little bit more of a throwy than some of the other competitors or just other lights that I have. As you can see, this is a little bit more floody with a bigger hotspot while this is focused, but you do get a nice secondary ring and even a third little bleed out about a secondary spill that is really great for EDC. But what this does is actually a really cool couple things, which I'll talk about here. So one, it just makes the light more efficient when you're running it on this lower mode. You can use it more around the house when it's sort of dim or fully dark, which is great. So this just makes it sort of the outdoor mode. But here's what I love. When you pick it up to the next one, there's no playing around. It is 100 lumens on low. From moonlight to low, 100 lumens. Bang. Not no, well, it's 15, and then it's 45, and then it's like 90, and then you get like 300. No, it's 100 lumens. And even on this mode, I can like look out. I can see the car across the street from my doorstep, which is something I like to kind of test my light with the range. I can point this, see where the dogs are in the yard. I can walk around, you know, in my backyard and even kind of see things, you know, and start to see the edges of my yard even on this mode alone. So with 100 lumens, powerful right out of the gate, really, really useful. The next one you pick up, you're getting really high things. You're getting like 300, and then you're getting like 900, and then you have a whopping 1800 lumens out of this single emitter light, you know, which is really, really nice. And in conjunction with that throw pattern, that is really useful. To that point, because this is more throwy, it has a really nice feature while tail standing. This light casts a lot of light up above. I'm getting it out of the way so I can kind of, you know, show you. So essentially what happens here is lights that have a big flood, when you're kind of like, I'm over here looking at it right over here, what's happening is this is casting in my eyes in a throwy light. So like once I tail stand or something like that, or even on a headlamp like this that's really floody, anytime I actually like turn around or get in that vicinity of that light, what happens is that's going to end up hitting into your eyes. So it kind of makes it an unpleasant experience. What's so great about a throwy light like this is there was a time where after I took down the Christmas tree, I didn't bring my lamp in yet because I'm just lazy, right? And so because of that, we were using this for 2 nights, and it was efficient. It wasn't getting hot. It wasn't kicking down on the 100 lumens. But also what happened is it was casting all of that up with that throw. So even if I walked beside it, like I'm right here looking at it from this angle, it's not hurting my eyes. I have to get like right up here now before it starts going into my eyes. So because of that throwy optic, this makes it really, really useful, you know, for those sort of more utilitarian uses, like lighting up a room and doing work, lighting up a room and, you know, putting away the kids' toys, or, you know, if you're in an industrial situation, you know, lighting up an area as well. Even though it's throwy, it kind of is more useful to go on ahead and also bouncing off of a roof and flooding an area. So even though it's not made for that this emitter is not as floody, right, it's still really great long and short of it, and I do love that performance. Also, just to kind of say, I love the fact that, you know, again, the size of this. When an 18650 light is sent to me, I'm kind of like, okay, we'll see, because there's a lot of lights, pink lights and things like that, or, you know, oldo lights, through nights that I've had and everything have just been really, really big, and I'm so pleasantly surprised at this light that it's kind of like a skin over the battery, and other than these heat sinks that kind of, you know, flare out, which are not at all, this light you saw it yourself, is so small in the pocket other than the length. And this is not a big length, and it doesn't have a big ginormous head that's pressed into your leg. This thing is a joy to carry. I wish every 18650 light was like this. And what this does is this just makes this a value champion of EDC. And then that gets us on to the last thing that I love, is just that overall price. This thing is going on the on the Sofirn website for $15 right now, $15 and change. Also, important to know, and I'll put this at the end of the video too, but Sofirn has provided a coupon to the viewers, which I'll put in the description, to go ahead and take an extra % off of this light. I think it's 10%. So definitely thumbs up for them for also giving back to, you know, my viewers and you guys. Definitely awesome on that. But even on Amazon, you can pick this light up for right around $30, a little under, maybe $31. I mean, there is just a tremendous amount of value to this light, and it doesn't feel like the finishing or anything. Again, the fit and finishing overall, everything is there in spades, and this would be a great gift for a light. This would also be really, really a great light for like work, right? Because of that higher input, you know, if you're like a farmer or something and you know to check into your yard or walk down a path, because you have that 100 lumens and a little bit more throw with the way that everything works, it's going to be really useful and efficient to run this a long time and not have to worry about it going ahead and burning out. Also, because of the high lumen, and you know, you triple quick to strobe as well. You know, you get all those different mode sets as well as a 4 lockout. The user interface is what I like a lot too, because the fact that you kind of already know how this works, because it's very similar to a lot of its competitors, which is really, really great. So that's just everything I would say that I love about the light overall. Now, this light is not perfect, so I want to make sure, like I said, to keep it biased. So I'll talk about what I dislike next. The first thing is, again, just to sort of kind of you know, there are certain little things that you kind of come to expect when it comes to this price range. A lot of these things are amazing, you know, that you are getting as pros, but there is a couple different things. First thing, I would have liked to see a magnetic tail cap on here. That would really go ahead and make it nice to be able to stick it on something, you know, bang, I'm working on the car, you know, or, you know, I have a metal piece of something in my house, bang, I do that, it sort of floods against a wall. You know, it's just a really nice added feature. The next thing, maybe not on every single one, but at least on mine, the pocket clip has sort of this bent canted clip. Not the biggest deal, right? But if you are somebody who is even a little bit more, you know, that's important to you, that it lines up and everything, something that may happen. I don't think it's going to happen on every single one, but it's good to see that we did see this because, you know, real world, you know, usage and everything like that. The next thing that is a little bit deeper on the dislike is the fact that with this light, I have only had this for about a week, but I've been using it constantly instead of swapping it out. So I think this is a really, really good review. Also, you know, toddler's throwing it down, taking it away. I'm like, hey, give that back. It's not safe. You know, he throws it instead of giving it to me. So it's definitely got some whackings, you know, and everything like that. And it still works. So it is tough. But you could see right here, when I turn on the light, there is green that's poking through here, where this coating that coats this clear piece has started to wear off. And I know that I probably had my baton all the way back in the day for probably a year before that started to happen. Now, maybe this one's a fluke. We could put that out there, but I do want to make sure I'm being transparent that at least on this one, it did happen. Probably be something that if you end up contacting Sofirn, they would, you know, get you taken care of, I'm sure. Or, you know, again, you'd be within some return period so you can return it and get another one, right? But that's an inconvenience within itself. So just something to kind of keep in mind, right? The other thing about this light as well, the great thing is these markings sort of line up, but at least on this one, it doesn't perfectly line up. Again, I'm not really tripping too much that this is off center from this or this. You know, but if you are somebody that is more important to, you know, you might. The other one that is a little bit bigger is sort of the trade-off, and it's an understandable trade-off as a flashlight enthusiast. We know that warmer lights are nicer on the eyes, but they don't draw out, you know, detail as much, and, you know, they don't, you know, because of that, they're not as bright. If you have some neutral lights, you know, they kind of are a good balance, you know, of warmness, you know, that it doesn't sting your eyes, but at the same time, you know, again, there's a little bit of higher performance that you can get. This guy is kicking out that 1800 lumens because this is a 6500K light. And it is one that is using the Luminous SST40, which is nice that it's not the 20, it is the 40, the bigger one. But this definitely has a blue hue to it, and even though I think it's pretty pure white in the middle here, there is a slight greenish hue on the secondary. It's not enough that I think it's gross, and I'm kind of picky about that, so I think you're going to be good to go if you don't like that stuff. But if you're like super sensitive to it, you kind of like look for that might annoy you a little bit more. For me, what's more of a, you know, dislike is the fact that I've been using a lot of lights, you know, with warmer hues, you know, over, you know, a long period now, probably about 2 years, and got away from the blue lights. So when I got sent this, I wasn't complaining because I knew that this would be a performance-oriented light. But I have been noticing, like, if I use this even on like a lower mode, and then I like blink and look in another direction, my vision's frosted for a couple seconds. So you definitely are going to get that sting, and just something to kind of keep in mind, as well as not as an accurate CRI, you know, that this looks like white, even though this is actually green. You know, it sort of changes those colors. The watch is green, but it looks a little white with that blue tint. So it's not accurately reproducing colors as much. So just some things to kind of keep in mind, and things that, you know, as a flashlight enthusiast, I want to kind of, you know, put out there. But to be honest, a lot of these are just mild little things for an overall amazing light. There's nothing really rubbish about this light whatsoever. I did also want to say, at least for the dislike, at least on mine, there was some times when I first got out of the box and I would sort of like move the light like this, even barely. I'd kind of feel the battery shift around. That sort of stops. I don't know if something just needed to wear in or the spring needed to adjust. Just something to keep in mind. Not a big deal. I like slapped it as hard as I could while it was on, and it was just like not turning off. So it's nothing that, like, you know, you have to worry about not being a reliable tool, but just something, you know, again, I wanted to be, since I noticed it, bring it to your guys' attention. Like I said, though, kind of wrapping things up, this is an amazing light. And for the money, you can't beat it. If you want a work light that you can beat on for not a lot, but it is going to be reliable and it is going to be mega quality, this is definitely one to go ahead and look at for sure. And it carries nice. So if you want something powerful that is a versatile tool for EDC, but have that longer battery life, going from like a 14500 or a CR123 to a big ol' 18650, this is definitely a amazing option. And I think it just sort of goes ahead and comes back to, at least from what I have experienced with these two lights and hope to experience a lot more, Sofirn is kind of like QSP, where they have a great quality, value, and performance all together. So I hope you guys definitely did enjoy that. Remember, there is a coupon code for the Sofirn official website down in the description. So if you're going to pick one up from them, just go ahead and let them know. And if there is a comment section, let them know that Jade sent you. I don't know if there will be or not, but I'm just saying that, right? Of course, I do hope that you did like this review as well, as I was super excited to go ahead and make it. Of course, if you liked it, go ahead and give it a like, as well as subscribe, as it helps the channel. And please go to comment down below, as I love to go into fellowship with you guys and you know, answer any questions that you might have. Of course, most importantly, I appreciate you taking time to go ahead and watch this video, as there's so many other great content creators out there. Because let's be for real right now, it's because of you that this is where I wanted to be. This is the point where I can get things in my hand and have the happiness to review them and bring them to you. And, you know, it's because of these numbers and you guys continuing to watch and the channel growing. So I really, really can't thank you guys enough. And it's just humbling to think, like, you know, stupid old Jade over here and this is happening to me. So thank you so much, honestly. But I hope everybody has an awesome start to your new year, and looking forward to a lot more product reviews coming forward. You guys take care, stay safe. Peace.